What's going on, guys? We're to another edition of the RPO College Podcast. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones. And with me today, we got the best crew ever. Let's start off with my guy, the man, the myth, the legend. How you doing today, Mr. Ray Roberts?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
Doing good, man. Glad to be here. Excited. We got some exciting stuff about to come on. But let me introduce my guy real quick. You already know who he is. My partner in crime, Mr. Lamarcus Bailey. How you doing, Lamarcus?
Good, man, but it's no crime around here, sir.
Hey man, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Hey, partner in football. How about that? Partner in football. But I'm excited today because if you guys don't already know, it is Senior Bowl week coming up next week. We'll be down there this year. As always, super excited. My two guys will be down there. Ray's gonna be there for his first time. Marcus is gonna be down there for his third year. I'll be down there for my fifth year. So I'm super excited about this, man. First and foremost, how excited are you guys?
Very excited, man. Kicking off draft season, my time of the year, so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Marcus?
I'm doing great. Also, what's up, Ray? I didn't get to actually say what's up to you, man. Hope
Hey,
you
I'm doing, Marcus. How are you, man?
doing well, man. Can't
How's,
complain.
how's the puppy?
Puppies are doing great.
Puppies. This man got like 10 of them at this point.
My man.
Wish we could take him to the Senior Bowl with us, but it'll just be us. But definitely excited to be able to go down there again. Excited, blessed, and definitely looking forward to it.
Definitely. And we're definitely gonna be talking about it because Senior Bowl week, man, like I said, it's exciting time for us. We always go down there every year. We've been a company now, so to be able to go down there and talk to a lot of players, but not only just a player, but talk to a lot of scouts, talk to a lot of people within the industry and stuff like that, and making connections is always a great thing, man. So make sure you guys stay locked with us all next week as well, because we're doing live podcasts every night after each practice, a few hours after each practice, not right after practice, but we'll definitely have that going, man. So let's talk about it, man. Let's do a little deep diving, sorry, into the Senior Bowl roster, man, and because we got some good players going to be down there. We're gonna start off with the quarterback position. So let's start off with that. I'll be completely honest. Not the greatest set of quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl right now, but sometimes they have late additions and stuff like that. Ray, I'm starting with you. Who stands out to you in this group?
As far as quarterbacks,
Yeah,
Hayden Hooker. I mean, I don't think we're going to see much of him, but he's exciting.
Yeah, Hayden Hooker's just coming off an ACL injury. I think week 12, I believe. So his injury is pretty fairly fresh. So he probably won't be playing, but he'll probably be down there interviewing with scouts and teams down there. Anybody else kind of stand out to you though?
Yeah, I kind of like Clayton Tune from Houston. I think has a lot of upside. I think he has some potential.
Definitely.
They throw the ball in Houston, so we know that. So
Definitely. Well, we got Max Duggan's gonna be down there. We got Darren Hall as well. Let's see who else we have. I'm sorry, this is not in order. Jake Hayden
Hayner from Fresno
Hayner,
State.
Fresno State, and Clayton Tune from Houston. Lamarcus, you probably studied on him a little bit as well.
Yes.
Lamarcus, who stands out to? I'm sorry, and Tyson Baguette, also from Shepherd. Yeah. So who stands out to you, Lamarcus?
As of quarterbacks, are we still on quarterbacks?
Yeah, just quarterbacks right now.
I would say I would stick with the names. Like Ray said, Hayden Hooker, probably won't see much of him. Definitely with his health status, but Max Duggan, obviously, he's going to be the quarterback where, ever since the Georgia game, people are going to say, all right, how good is Max Duggan really? Against some competition, some major competition, I think definitely we weren't able to see who he was. I'm not sure what that level was around him, but definitely he has some upside. Definitely a stout quarterback who's tough. He definitely has an arm. I wouldn't say he has an amazing arm, but I think it's serviceable. but with his ability to lead, I think he definitely can be serviceable for a team for sure.
I agree. I think he could be a good solid backup somewhere, if nothing else. He's absolutely athletic enough. Arm arm talent is fine. Arm strength is not elite. We'll see how it works out for him though.
Yeah, I agree. Duggan's probably going to be the biggest name out there. I do believe some of the other quarterbacks, there are intriguing players out there. Like I said, the kid from Houston, and BYU's quarterback.
Jaron Hall is absolutely has some upside to him, without a doubt.
Definitely. So we got some guys that have upside. Like I said, nothing crazy as far as like big names. Max Duggan and Hayden Hooker is going to be the biggest names, and Hayden's not even playing. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Like I said, sometimes we do have some late add-ons, so we might have some coming in, but that group in itself is not the most high. It's not the best that we had in like previous years. So let's move on to the guys that's going to be catching the ball from them, the wide receivers. We got plenty here, and I think this year's talent pool, as a group, I don't think it's going to be as good as previous years, but still good group of receivers in the draft in general. I'm going to name some names: Ronnie Bell, Jaden Reed. We got Elijah Higgins. Michael Wilson, Puka Nuka, Trey Palmer. We got Chajavion Wicks, Andre. I don't know how to say his last name. Isabella Villas. Jaden. We got Jalen Wayne. We got Rasheed White. I know Lamarcus likes him a lot. Jonathan Mingo, Xavier Hutchinson. Tank Dell. I know Lamarcus like him too, and Darius Davis. Lamarcus, tell us out of the receiver group who kind of stands out to you.
So definitely with Tank, he's gonna be the one that we're gonna look at in the as the top guy. He's the one that I feel like he's a sleeper, and that his ability is going to project on a larger scale that it has. At Houston, he dominated. When he was in junior college, he dominated. When he was at Alabama State as a freshman with the limited time he did have, he played well instantly. So I think just from his resume of kind of like how he's progressed through the ranks, his first year at Houston, they had a shorter season that year because of COVID, the aftermath of COVID. So I think they only played 7 or 8 games. And then those 7 or 8 games, he nearly had a score in half of them, and he had over 5 receptions in nearly every game that season. So, and then after that, he progressed. In this past season, he led the NCAA in touchdowns and in receiving yards. And I don't think that was a coincidence. I feel like he definitely outperformed where he was, and I feel like he could have played at any school. I think on a Jordan Addison type level, I don't think he is looked at as a traditional receiver, obviously because of his play style, and so I think scouts would discredit him from that aspect. But I think from his pure ability, on my scouting report, I made a bold statement. I said that he reminds me of an Antonio Brown type player only because of how he's able to play outside of his body, play bigger than he actually is. He adjusts to the ball. On tape, he shows late hands. So, and obviously him being a shorter receiver, he has to show late hands. So he's able to get position, and I wouldn't say he's amazingly fast, but his quickness is, I think, out of this world. He tracks the ball well. His hesitation is great, and I think he's definitely one of those guys that'll pop out. I think he'll dominate the competition at the Senior Bowl for sure. I don't think there's anybody in the defensive back group that can really stay, within that, but we'll see. I think it'll be a fun thing to watch. I mean, then my next guy would say Jaden Reed from Michigan State. I think he's a good receiver as well. Coming from Michigan State, I think scouts will want to see his dominance as well. They'll want to see like how can he separate himself, and I think that's kind of what the Senior Bowl is in my opinion. I just think how much can you separate from the competition and show that, all right, these guys are good, but I'm on another level, and this is why I should be here. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for a guy like Jaden Reed to show. to show that for sure.
No, 100%. I definitely agree. That's what the Senior Bowl's for. You're going against the best of the best now. So, you can really get to show off your talent, and everybody's, all the scouts' eyes on you. This is your first chance to show what you can do outside of just traditional college form. Ray, any receivers stick out to you?
Rasheed Rice from TCU
Yes.
and from SMU. Has the size, has the production, a lot of things going for him, traits wise. So I like him a lot. His production was really good this year. SMU throws the ball a decent amount of time, and he seemed to be one of their main targets. So
Definitely. No, I agree with that. A guy that stands out to me is Xavier Hutchinson. 6'3" guy. Apparently he runs a 4.4, so we see how that goes in the NFL Combine. I believe he's going, but a taller receiver, got some good speed on him. Very productive for Iowa State this year. I'm very intrigued to see how he does. The guy, makes crazy catches. Catches away from his body. His catching radius is ideal. I believe he's I forgot. I don't have his size on me, but I believe he's at a pretty decent size for 6'3". Very intrigued to see what he does. Also, I want to point out he's 205. That's why I got him listed as right now 205. And I'm very intrigued to see how Ronnie Bell does. I mean, I know I'm being a homer with that one, but he's a guy that, in my eyes, hasn't been that consistent for Michigan, especially with his catching. I wonder if they're gonna use him a little bit more as a slot receiver in the NFL, somebody you can pin in space and things like that. I mean, I think that would be best for him. I don't think he's a primary receiver, but I think he has a lot of talent to do some good stuff, but he's not going to be one of the highly rated guys. So I'm just kind of curious to see how he does with better competition. Like we said before, he was Michigan's number one receiver, but we ran the ball a lot also, so he didn't get a ton of catches. And you seen a couple of guys that came out of Michigan as receivers and played pretty well in the NFL. Donovan Peoples-Jones playing for the Browns really started emerging late. Nico Collins doing well with the Texans. They're number one receiver right now. So I'm very curious how some of these receivers are going to translate to the NFL coming from Michigan. So, all right, cool. Anything y'all want to add to that there?
I like kind of Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State. I like him a lot. He's a pretty good player. So
let me ask you this, Ray. Based on body type, I know it's always a comparison. I know that's kind of a shallow comparison, but body type wise, I mean, really, and play style. How does Xavier Hutchinson and Quentin Johnston compare in your opinion, like as play styles? Because just kind of curious to hear your opinion on that.
Hutchinson's a little bit stiffer. I don't think he's as fluid of an athlete. I think he's going to be a productive player, but he's going to be a possession type guy. The other guy is a lot more fluid. That's all. So
yeah. Quentin Johnston. I personally got to see how he does in real time. This guy is fast. He's strong. He's a really good route runner. Really good hands. So he's pretty much the complete package. Where Hutchinson, like Ray saying, is more of a possession guy. He's going to be fast though, but he's more of a possession guy. A guy that I think Xavier's shown a little bit more contested catches than Quentin, but I think Quentin's just the all around better receiver.
And plus, he's projected as like a top 5 or 10 player too. So
Yeah, I mean that helps too. Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt at all. Doesn't hurt at all. All right, let's get to our running backs. I'm sorry, tight ends. Let's get to our tight ends first. So tight ends, we have Payne Darham. We got Davis Allen, Josh Waller. I think that's how I say his name. We got Luke Musgrave, Braden Willis, Will Mallory, and Cameron Luto. So Ray, I'm gonna start off with you on this one. Anybody sticks out to you on those?
You know what, Jerome? Not really. None of them are or have been that productive. I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I like Josh Weil a little bit from Cincinnati, only because he's had 2 good years in a row. Playing at Cincinnati. So
Yeah.
All right.
Here, Dalton Kincaid was more. These are more utility type tight ends. These aren't the Brock Bowers and Darnell Washingtons of the world.
Yeah.
So I think
right.
they're utility type fullbacks could be used multi-purpose.
Definitely. Yeah. Go ahead. Right. I'm sorry.
Which in today's football was a good thing to be, though. I mean,
yeah.
a lot of spots for them guys now. So
because teams are they're finding any way. Coordinators are finding any way to get extra blockers. I mean, now teams have brought back receivers and slot guys cracking down on ends and on D tackles now. So I think that's one of the funny parts about how the game kind of does. Like everything is cyclical. Kind of the game is going backwards in a way.
Well, I think you can see like where lighter guys can block them edge guys now, because you're talking about like 220, 30-pound guys as opposed to 280-pound linemen.
Right.
Defensive end and edge guy like that. I mean, I actually like Cameron too from Alabama too. In Alabama, they don't throw the ball to their tight ends a lot, but I think he has the size and profile to be a good, legitimate NFL tight end. So
definitely, one of the guys that I'm looking at is definitely Musgrave from Oregon State. A guy, just a team that I've been watching very closely the last couple of years because they've been building some quality players. Musgraves is one of those guys. He's got those reliable hands. He's one of those third down type of tight ends that when your quarterback's in the gym, that's your safety hazard, safety
valve.
Safety valve. Yeah. Somebody that you can really rely on to catch any kind of ball that you can throw at him. Don't have the best speed. But he's a reliable guy, and like we said, Dalton was supposed to be there. He's injured, so I think he's currently off the roster, but he might still be there. We don't know how that's gonna work, if he's actually gonna be there or not. But the tight end group I feel like the tight end group always kind of like shines a little bit more at the Senior Bowl. Like I said, like we always say, they're the safety net, the safety valve that you can, kind of dump it off to. And being on a all-star game like this, a lot of these players and things like that don't have a lot of chemistry. So I think tight ends usually, show off a little bit more at these. So I'm very intrigued with this group, though. I don't think it's a bad group at all, though.
Now that's very intuitive, Jerome, because that's a thing where quarterbacks are afraid to throw interceptions at the Senior Bowl, so they'd rather throw it to a safer option across the middle or on a quick out than throwing that constant go ball, constant post or curl.
Which is kind of different than what college does, because everything wants to be downfield now, and almost nobody utilizes tight end the way they used to.
Right.
Definitely.
I mean, unless you have a really special guy like Bowers, kid from Notre Dame, they just don't throw it to the tight ends the way they used to.
Man, and Bowers, I was telling Jerome, Ray, that I really believe that with Brock Bowers, like if Brock Bowers comes out next year, he'll be the best pass catcher. I mean, aside from Marvin Harrison Jr., Brock Bowers is going to be the next best pass catcher out of any position. So it's going to be crazy to see a tight end. It's almost a repeat of Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
But better though. But better.
Yeah, you know what? Better hands for sure.
I mean, more utilitarian.
Yeah.
Blocking. Let me look at the blocking aspect, not taking anything away from Kyle Pitts. But I mean, the production in the NFL, I mean, obviously we see the lack of production with Kyle Pitts. But I mean, I think that's one of those things where the game really has to translate. I mean, he's a great receiver, a great receiver, but like coming from the inside, there's a lot more obstacles in the NFL to get open. So so I think with Brock Bowers, he has a complete package. He can dominate from anywhere on the field.
What I think about Bowers too is he's a good route runner. Where Kyle Pitts kind of like freelance a little bit.
He's so athletic. He was so fast, he could kind of get away with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we'll definitely see how the tight end group goes for this year at the Senior Bowl. Let's talk about running backs. To name off some of them, we got Evan Hall, we got LaShawn Johnson, Chase Brown.
Talk about the.
What happened?
Hey, let's talk about the guy, the guy that everybody's going to see. My guy Kenny.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. Chase Brown, Cameron Peoples, and we also have Tajay Pierce, Eric Gray, Chris Rodriguez, and Kenny
Kenny McIntosh.
McIntosh. I don't know why I couldn't say his name. Kenny McIntosh. All right. I'm gonna let you start with it, right, LaMarcus, because you already kind of got into the McIntosh part of it. What do you think about this group, man?
Yeah, I had a hard time trying to figure out how to say it as well when I first started watching him. But after watching him over the last couple of seasons, just seeing him how he kind of always feel a need for Georgia, especially when they are in that position where they need to play. Mm-hmm. He's always kind of been that guy, physical back, he's not super big, but he has a nice frame to where I feel like in the NFL he'll need a solid frame, and I think he has that to play at the next level and kind of be durable. But also he has that speed and that burst. Don't think he has amazing breakaway speed, but I think he definitely has enough speed. If he gets an edge, he can take it. So
yeah, and I can see him being a little physical too. I mean, a lot of people don't look at him for his physical, makeup, but he has, the makeup to be able to, run through the tackles and things like that as well.
All right. And another guy, also Cameron Peoples from App State. I think that's a guy. Yeah. I'll just say a little bit. I don't want to steal your thunder, but that's a guy, a small school guy, right? App State is competing on a high level right now, so I think it's hard. It's kind of hard to call him a small school now, but he's a guy who's been there for a while, and he's kind of solidified his role in the conference in college football as a consistent back. He's obviously smart. He's been a starter for a while, fulfilling that role at App State for a while now. So he'll be a back to watch down there as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm glad you said Cameron Peoples because one of the guys I'm keeping my eye on down there as well. I think he's going to have a really good Senior Bowl. Ray, who do you think some standout running backs are for you?
I like Tajay Spears from Tulane. Very productive kid, has a nice size, 190, 5'10", pretty thick legs. I like him a lot. There's not anybody else who I look at like that I love that much with the running back class. Trying to look at everybody now. He's the one guy I see the production, I see body type. I think he has a lot of upside to him.
Well, I can name a couple of guys that I like while you're still looking at that, Ray.
I mean, I like Eric Gray from Oklahoma a lot too.
So. Definitely. Now, Chase Brown from Illinois, he's a guy that was very productive, especially this year for Illinois. He's one of their best players that they had over there. I'm very excited to see how he does. And another guy, I don't think he's getting enough talk. Chris Rodriguez Jr. He was one of the best bright spots for that Kentucky team that had a really bad offensive line. So he for him to be a bright spot on a team that had a very inconsistent offensive line, I think that he is somebody that I'm intrigued to see how he does with a better offensive line during this year. I mean, during the Senior Bowl, and see if he can get a little bit more production as one of those sleeper kind of backs there. Any takes on those guys?
No, I like Chris Rodriguez a little bit as a change of pace type power, a little slashy power type kid.
Yeah,
he's solid. I mean, that's the thing with most of these guys are just are going to be like the situational type players. So yeah.
LaMarcus?
Yeah, same. I mean, piggyback off of Ray.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Let's get into our offensive linemen. I'm not going to read all the offensive linemen. It's just way too many. But any of these guys kind of stand out to you, Ray?
I like Darnell Wright a lot from Tennessee. I'm going to go with the lower round guys because, of course, Miami don't have any first round pick this year.
Ray, guys. This is the thing about Ray. He likes the draft. He loves the draft. He's going to look at everybody, but he's always going to look at his Miami guys that specifically for his team. I get it. It's okay.
One track. I
Big.
love I like Cody Mock from North Dakota State a lot as a guy who needs to fill out and get a little bit stronger. But once he does, I like his body type. So
Yeah, North Dakota State been pitting out a lot of
they
linemen.
do,
Yeah, the last couple of years, and they've been doing really well, starting in the NFL. So,
man.
um, pretty good guys. Um, Lamarcus, anybody stands out to?
I would say Jalen Duncan from Maryland. He's a kid who, definitely has been in a physical team, physical conference, and he's kind of went against some stout defensive linemen in that conference and held his own for some time. So I think he's a guy to watch going into the Senior Bowl.
The best thing about him is he'd actually be there like day 2, late second round, or early 30, even possibly. So I'm looking for them guys this year. So
That's the value.
I, I got a couple of guys that intrigue me, and I'm actually surprised Ray didn't say this guy at all because he played on Notre Dame. Jared Patterson.
Another
What happened?
another one.
Another one. But no, I know Notre Dame didn't have the best offensive line last year, but I think he was one of the more better linemen that y'all had. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but I think he was one of your best offensive linemen that you had for an offensive line that was kind of inconsistent this year.
I like Patterson. I think the best thing about him is he's very versatile. He can play both guard spots. He can line up at center. So he's a valuable kid. I've seen him play for 3 years, though. I know what he is. I think he's a good, solid player, but that's probably what he is. So,
Got you. Okay. Also, go ahead. Was you about to say something? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking. Also, one of my guys from Michigan, Ryan Hayes. I think he's kind of like what Ray said with Patterson, just one of those consistent guys. I think I want to see him improve his ability in the passing game a little bit more. Really good run offensive lineman. I mean, most of them are, but really good in a run game. I want to see him improve a little bit as a pass blocker. But somebody that I'm definitely intrigued by. Very good kid. We got a couple of Michigan guys going down there, which I'm cool. I'm excited about. But yeah, Ryan Hayes is definitely one of them. I'm hoping he plays a little bit better. Like Ray said, with his guy, I've seen him all these years and see how he's been playing. Been a staple and a consistent guy for our offensive line. Just want to see him get a little bit better. And you never know. Some of these guys get better with some NFL coaching. So definitely looking forward to some of that. All right, let's get to our next position, and we're gonna go defensive line. Again, I'm not gonna go through all of them again, but Lamarcus, who stands out to you?
So we got our guy Gerard Clark. We interviewed him early in the year. Yeah. He definitely is one to watch. Obviously with his injury, his major injury coming off of, so he's going to be one of the guys that the NFL scouts are going to be watching closely. Definitely going to have to see his injury status and him getting checked up by doctors during the pro day and combine. Not sure about his status of the combine, but definitely with his pro day, I'm getting clear about doctors. And then we have Adetomiwa Adebowale out of Northwestern. He's a guy that we've scouted, and from watching this tape, he's definitely a guy who can. I definitely think he can fill in and play day one. Definitely would be a player that is more utilitarian. Utility. I think he's a first and second down run support D lineman, not a super speedy rusher, but he's a athletic player. Don't think he's a natural pass rusher though. He doesn't look to convert his moves that quickly against those large offensive tackles in the Big Ten, like Wisconsin. Sometimes he would get swallowed up. He's not super tall. He's about 6'2.5", 6'3". So he's not super long. But he's a guy who definitely is a power rusher if any type of rush. Not a speed rusher, but definitely a first and second down run support guy.
Definitely. Ray, who you got?
Well, I like Cameron Young from Mississippi State. He's more of an interior two-gap type kid, but I like him a lot. I think he's a nice player at the next level. And I like where's the guy at? I just had him here. I just lost him. Oh, Yaya Diaby from Louisville. He's an edge guy who sets the edge really nicely. When I watched Louisville play, he just kind of stands out as one of them guys that seems to know how to play football. So I'm a fan.
Definitely. Actually, again, another one of your guys, Isaiah Foskey. Foskey, I think I said it right. From Notre Dame. What's your take on him? Because I mean, early in the mock draft, I was seeing him in the first round. I think that hype kind of tempered down a little bit. But what's your take on him? Going to down there.
He's still a first round talent. He got double and triple teamed a lot this year. He wasn't as productive this year as he was last year.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that thought if he would have improved his play this year, he might have been like a top 15, 10 or top 10, top 15 pick. But I see him as an end of the first round. You draft Isaiah Foskey, you're going to get a good football player. The problem is that can he sustain it? He seems to get nicked and take some plays off every once in a while.
No, definitely. A couple of other names I wanted to kind of like throw out there. Ali Gay from LSU. I think he was a up and down kind of player at some points. I think he kind of put it together this year, which allowed him to get to the Senior Bowl. I think he showed some stuff. Excuse me. So I want to see how he does. Also, I got to dominate it against Michigan. Honestly, Dylan Horton from TCU. Interior guy. I think he played a little outside too. Big, fast guy. Very destructive. I think this defensive line class this year is very, very deep. He's going to want to be one of those guys maybe in the second round, but he's probably going to be a starter in the NFL if he keeps up what he's been doing after a while. Because, just seeing what he's been doing in the last couple of games that I've seen him, he's been dominating, getting a lot of interior pressure and things like that. So I want to see if he can continue that at the Senior Bowl. And any of you guys got anything to say about those two guys?
Both quality players. I like them all. I mean, this is really early on, man. So kind of like we're just getting into it. We kind of like everybody we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Until then they'll kind of like weed themselves out eventually,
Definitely.
Get into the combine, see what they do.
This is what the Senior Bowl is for, man. Get
absolutely, man. Get our first look at everybody. It's awesome. So
That's it. All right, let's get to our next position, which will be linebackers. I will read off these guys. Ian Pace. We got Dion Haley. Carlton Matau. Sorry. The man, these names. The Marvin Overshawn, DJ Johnson, Cam Johnson, Andre Carter, Nick Hampton. On the American side, we have Darian Williams, D. Winters, Servoska, Dennis, Avery Miller, Will McDonald, Isaiah Land, Iku Leota, and Henry Tototo. So LaMarcus, to start with you on this one. Who you like on that group?
So my guys that I like Carlton Marshall. Carlton Marshall is an interesting case. Very short guy. He's 5'9", probably 5'8", because obviously college is gonna list him higher. But he's a guy who at one point was leading the NCAA in tackles, and I think that him being a walk-on originally, I think that's going to be one of those things to watch at the Senior Bowl. I think he will be a kid who is going to play with a chip. He played with a chip his whole career, and I think having a guy like that is going to make this group stand out because guys are going to have to measure up against a guy who's 5'8", and so I think it's going to be interesting to watch the dynamic at the Senior Bowl. So watching guys like Owen Papo, with the major talent in this game, Owen Papo coming out of school as a 5-star. And then Harry To'oTo'o. So those guys have a lot to measure up against. Those two are gonna, have to measure up and stand out. And having a guy like Carlton Marshall, who's just naturally fiery and a short guy who's gonna be played with chip, it's gonna be interesting to watch.
definitely. No, I think that's a good assessment on some of the linebackers that's going to be down there. Ray, who stands up to you?
I actually like Aubrey Miller from Jackson State. If you watch Jackson State play this year, the kid just stood out as a second level defender. Kind of did some things against like tight ends and slot receivers too. So he's a pretty athletic kid. And of course, I love DeMarvion Overshown from Texas. He's
Yeah,
probably my favorite linebacker right now, as far as the kid who's not extremely big but plays very physical. So
that dude is sideline to sideline. He's not the fastest guy, but he's always in the right spot every time I watch him in
something
Texas.
that, yeah, man. I'd rather have a guy that plays here all the time, man. Okay,
100%,
he's in the right spot at the right time. So yeah,
100%.
yeah.
A guy that I'm pretty sure Lamarcus and Ray knows that I like a lot. Had crazy numbers last year. I'm sorry, the previous year. This previous year, production was a little down. More of an edge than just a traditional linebacker. But Andre Carter second. I mean that this kid from Army. Ray. I know you respect your Army players and things like that. I've been telling you guys, if he was on a bigger school, I think he would get talked about a lot more. 15 and a half sacks in 2021, four forced fumbles, and an interception that year. I think he was second in sacks last 2021. This year, production wasn't as great. He had only 3 sacks this year. Very curious to see how he does this year. I know, with those Army players, it's a lot of inconsistency in their plays because of the type of team they are, who they play, the type of program they're in. Sometimes you can't always just focus on football there. I mean, there's a lot going on as well outside of that. So now that he's able to, really focus on football and really get to come out and see what he can do, I'm very curious to see how he does. I don't think that year that he had in 2021 was just like a flash in the pan. I think he's a really talented kid. And how sacks are too. They're very they don't always tell the story. There's times where you could just literally just be in the backfield all the time or things like that. So even though he only had 3 sacks this year, and I know a lot of scouts and things like that going to look at the stats first and be like, oh, what happened to him? I think once you put on a tape and really look at him, I think he's going to be a guy that might get a little bit more buzz coming back into this year. I'm very excited to see how he does. Any take on Andre Carter?
I love the kid, man.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the program, so
yeah, he's a dominant player, and just for him to come out after coming from an army, obviously we know how the situation with that program is, so it's definitely gonna be a cool thing to watch.
Yeah, and he had to actually get clearance to come out to the draft, which not every player gets that clearance, and he got the clearance to come out. So, really rooting for the guy. Hope that he does some great stuff. The kid is 6'7". He's a little thin. He's only 260 for 6'7", but he could definitely grow into that a little bit more, and then work on some of his more techniques. I think he's gonna be a guy. He's good. I'm really, really excited to see what he does there.
I think with him though, you can see him play a little edge. See him do a lot of different things, man. He's just a good football player,
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, let's get to our last position group, which is going to be DBs. I'm gonna start with you, Ray. Who stands out to you in the group?
You want safeties and corners?
Yeah.
Okay, well, give me a second here.
That's how I have it on here on the list. I mean, if you want me to read it off, I can.
Well, I'll talk about. I'll mention a guy. I think that Jatavius Martin from Illinois. He's a guy who's been starting for a while at Illinois. He's been a staple of that defense. He's a guy who has experience playing almost every position in the secondary. I think he could be a guy that plays in a nickel, plays outside, and even play safety. And he's not super big, but he has a nice frame, about 6 foot, 6'1". Yeah, he's a guy who's I'm definitely gonna have my eyes on. Definitely gonna watch Jay Ward from LSU as well. That's a guy. The LSU guys are always DBs who I'm gonna watch. They're they're they come from a pedigree, obviously, so they always kind of hold themselves on a high standard, and so he's the guy I'm gonna be watching also.
Definitely, definitely. Um, I'll put a couple of names out there myself. Uh, uh, um, J.L. Skinner from Boise State. Very curious to see how he does. I think that he's going to be a player to watch. Raleigh Moss, a guy that I've been watching for a few years, being in the Big Ten, or being a Big Ten watcher, rather. um, Riley Moss was a guy that, early on, I thought he was going to be a first round pick kind of guy, kind of fell off a little bit. Kind of curious why. Then I have to look into that a little bit more. Why his name is not, in those top, tier guys. Because, for a while, I thought Riley Moss is going to be that guy. So I kind of want to see how that goes. It is with DB sometimes, it, it's the hardest. I personally believe outside of quarterback, it's the hardest position in football. So when you get beat, sometimes it looks. I know Ray's about to say something, but it looks. When you get beat, you get beat, and everybody sees it. And you don't see some of the smaller things. So I definitely want to watch a little bit more tape on him because, like I said, the first few years when him in Iowa State, I thought he was going to be a real big name. Kind of, the buzz kind of slowed down a little bit for him. Definitely want to see how that goes with him over there. Go ahead, Ray. I know you didn't get to get your chance in, so I'm gonna let you go.
No, I mean, corner is a weird position for me this year because I need depth there. So I'm actually going to have to really do my homework on corners this year.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, if I get to listen to Byron Jones cry about not playing again on next year, dude, that's why I don't like corners because not all the time. I got both ends of the spectrum with Miami. I got Xavier Howard, who was a baller, who was out there every week, injured or not, and then I got Byron Jones, who has a hangnail, and you don't see him for 4 months.
Right.
So that's what bothers me. Like corner is the one position where if guys aren't 100%, they don't usually play.
Mm-hmm.
That bothers me. Yeah. That's all. But anyway,
yeah, I think definitely.
Ray, I was about to say, what you better watch what you say. You got 2 DBs in this podcast.
But you're both way far away from me, though, man.
Jerome even knows, like, even though I'm a defensive back, like I played linebacker majority of my career too. So yeah. I'm a trench guy at heart, and I feel like, definitely corners that position where if you get a guy, and I think you rarely get a guy like Xavier Howard, those come to dime a dozen. Like you don't get that often, and corner is so up and down. Like there's some guys who are here, corners like here today and going tomorrow. Look at a guy like Marcus. Can't even think of the guy's name. It's a bunch of guys that'll come in and kind of have a year or two and just kind of fade away. Look at J.C. Jackson. That's a perfect example. Like they paid him a lot of money, and then he had one of the worst years where he ended up getting benched. And the other guy that I was wasn't coming to my mind was Marcus Peters, right? Marcus Peters just not too long ago was one of the premier corners leading the league in interceptions, and then now you're like, he's nowhere to be found. Granted, injuries and that kind of thing do occur, and that type of thing. But like Ray was saying, the injuries when they come with cornerback, it's kind of like it's not gonna last long after that, and injuries can happen very frequently with corners. And you look at a guy like Marshawn Lattimore, right? Marshawn Lattimore has kind of been one of those guys been really consistent over the course of his career, and you rarely get a guy like that that's going to be that consistent for and hold his own for that long.
I mean, I know that it is hard to go out there if you had to turn and run, if you feel like you can't turn and run. I got that part, but again, I hate this like Byron Jones.
Upper body injuries, in my opinion, yeah. As a corner and as a guy who's played, through a lot of things, upper body injuries are one of those things. It's like if I can move my hips and turn my body and run as fast as I humanly can, certain things can be overcome, especially as a cornerback. Nobody's expecting you to tackle with a club in your hand. If you can't tackle, you can't tackle. But
Right.
can you still cover? Can you still be in position to make a play on the ball? Yeah, in fact, you can.
I think with having Xavier Howard on my team, it kind of spoiled me that I just like he just like I know like this year he played hurt and he got beat way more than he had the last 3 or 4 years. But you know what? I'll take it because he was out there trying to help my team win the game.
And
he wasn't hiding from it. And he made plays to help me win the game still.
Right.
Because he was out there. So, I mean, I understand you're going to give up a play here and there. Like, again, you're the last line of the defense, blah, blah, blah. I got that part. But if you're at least willing to go out there and help me try to win the game, I'll take some subpar play every once in a while. I got it. No big deal.
And it's about, with corners, about winning more than you lose, because think about how many deep balls. If you're a corner, right, how many deep balls are going to come your way in a game? You may get three, or maybe max of 4. Right?
Xavier Howard is one of them guys that, like, his ball skills are so good. Even if you get beat every once in a while, I'm okay with that because you're going to make a play. I know you are. Right. I see it every week.
Kelly Ringo
getting beat every once in a while. It's fine.
Kelly Ringo.
Darius Slay. Darius Slay. Like,
look how Darius Slay is getting that. And I also understand a lot of that has to do with pass rush.
Yeah.
That's why I would rather draft a guy in the trenches because, I mean, look at Darius Slay. Darius Slay did not play well last year when he first came to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. But then as he got used to the blitzing scheme, when the guys were going to get home, now he looks like one of the best corners in the league again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they all work off of each other, man. It's football. Yeah. It's the ultimate team sport. So that's why we love it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to say this. I'm going to ask you this, Ray. Would you take an Eli Apple on your team?
Is he my 5th corner? Yeah.
My 5th corner. I'm dead.
Right now, I would take him over no Byron Jones, but
I don't know about that.
No, that's the thing about Byron Jones. Byron Jones is good.
Yeah.
When he's on the field, he's good. The problem is getting him on the field.
Yeah. Right.
One thing that I wanted to add about the cornerback and the defensive back group, it's just really is gonna be one thing I'm gonna be watching is gonna be discipline and coverage and eyes. Mm-hmm. Over the past few years, I just have noticed, and this is not a damnation of anything, but it's more so observation. The eyes, as passing has become more of a major part, the eyes and the amount of touchdowns, given up are the all-time high. Obviously, the game is more exciting, but yeah, like it's kind of excessive in some points because you're looking at some plays, you're like, this should be obvious. The concepts of the are similar, offensive schemes are similar. The routes, you're getting the same routes. You're getting a total of 5 routes per game that you're going to see that are different. And we have guys who are just not disciplined and covered. So seeing disciplined guys is going to be rewarding and definitely going to be something I'm going to be watching. Like, who can?
That's why if you watch Cincinnati play right now, their linebackers and their defensive backs, even though their defensive backs are not great, mm-hmm. they're all seeing the same thing, and they know how to work off of each other. Right. I mean, to me, that even what you were saying before, LaMarcus, about defensive backs, the same thing with linebackers. The linebackers who have disciplined eyes are going to be the guys that help you win games, man. It's just I mean, if you see it here that it goes here faster, you're fine.
And it's not ability all the time, it's the reaction time.
Correct. It's not even sometimes it's not even straight line speed. It's a matter of getting from point A to point B because it's right here and it got me there a little bit quicker.
I got 2 things I want to talk about real quick. Because we'll be seeing how some of the coaching is down here and the Senior Bowl is. But as we talk about DBs right now, one thing that drives me crazy is seeing the amount of times that these DBs are playing so far back. I mean, seeing these DBs playing like 10 yards back, and that's a lot of that is coaching, and that it just drives me crazy that you're that far back.
You have so many teams that want to play zone though, Jerome. Yeah. So then that's what zone coverage is. It's backing off.
But
it's playing a spot instead of the man. I mean,
and in my opinion, and this is just my fair assessment, I feel like we're paying guys too much to even play zone schemes at this point.
agreed.
If you want
Agreed.
if you want the game to be exciting, you produce one-on-ones.
Agreed.
One-on-one, so and to make guys play. But that's where I see, and I'm sorry, Jerome, I'll let you go, but
no, you good.
I think that's where you see the deficiencies in the offensive line, because there's a reason why teams play zone. Why? Because imagine if we were to get straight one-on-ones across the board and have straight rushes, right? Quarterbacks would be on their backs every play. We see how good these defenses.
Yeah, but you know what? And I understand, and I do understand when you're playing against young quarterbacks, you're going to play a little bit more zone. Certain guys are just not as good for some reason against zone. Most good quarterbacks are good against the zone, though. Mm-hmm. And most of them are. They're good. They're really good ones.
Got to be good against zone. I mean,
yeah, but what bothers me is like Buffalo. They play this week. Now they didn't blitz much, but when they did blitz twice, they played zone coverage behind it, and it cost them 2 touchdowns to start the game off. I'm like, what are you doing? If you're going to blitz and bring extra guys, you have to play man coverage.
Guys don't have disciplined eyes to stay in coverage, and a lot of times they don't know how to trade off routes. And
that's correct. That's true.
And these quarterbacks are so good. If you give them a zone, they're gonna find, and that's why Tom Brady was so good, because Tom Brady was able to find. If you blitz Tom Brady, and play man behind it, he's gonna find the open guy. Like, he's gonna find it. I mean, if he plays zone behind it, he's gonna find the open guy every time.
If you play zone, he's just gonna pick you apart. It's gonna be instead of bing, 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 it's gonna be bing, 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 touchdown. Yeah. But it's just the same thing, just a little slower that way.
Man, Wes Welker, teams cannot figure it out. How do you beat Tom Brady? Man up Wes Welker, because you man up Wes Welker, can't do anything.
Correct.
The teams were not doing. They were leaving him in zones, and Wes Welker was great at finding the zone.
And the thing I will give Brady, though, he's really good at like sliding in the pocket and getting rid of the ball. He was really, really good at that. And it's not an easy thing to teach a quarterback, because a lot of guys, like Tua, needs to learn that or he's going to get killed. All right, that's that simple. But
I'm afraid for his mental.
Was that?
I'm afraid for Tua's brain.
I'm afraid that I wasted a pick on a quarterback, but
yeah, that's the tough part, man. That's definitely the tough part with Andrew. But the other thing I wanted to ask, this is personally to Ray. How are you feeling about Logan Wilson, man? It's third year in a row. I was gonna ask. I always gotta ask around this time.
Very good, man.
All right, cool.
Very good.
LaMarcus, you probably don't know, me and Ray always had this back and forth about Logan Wilson draft year, and I seen him at the Senior Bowl. I was like, dude, like, he's good. Like, I'm telling you, like, no, he's not athletic enough for me. He's not athletic enough for me. He's doing good for Cincinnati right now, man.
All right.
So I feel good about that one, because I called that one out.
The only difference is Jerome wanted to take him in the 2nd round, and I said he should be taken in the 4th round.
Get the value as late as you can.
But he also LaMarcus. What's that?
He went a 3rd, right?
3rd round, yeah. The thing was, for me, was in college he overran so many plays, and now he's not doing it. Maybe I didn't give him enough credit because the guys in front of him weren't as good.
Right.
He tried to make up for some of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's playing very well, man. And again, he's part of that defense that where they may give you it once, but they're not going to give it to you twice.
Correct.
No, so when you get that play, Buffalo, whoever, you better make sure you capitalize with a touchdown, because they're not going to give you many big plays underneath. If you can hit them out wide. You can go deep on them because their corners stink. But if you try to go underneath against them, they're going to make a play and get the ball from you.
Definitely. But no, and that's the part I love about the Senior Bowl, man, because you get to see some of the stuff early on. You get to see how they play with better talent, and you get to really assess and kind of go back to the tape, like, hey, man, we played way better with better competition. Maybe there's something that we can work out with somebody like a Logan Wilson, who, we're down there. He had some buzz around him during that week, and, playing very. There's a couple of other guys, Isaiah Likely was another guy, a couple other people that, played really well in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to it, guys, man. We're going to be doing live streams all next week. at the Senior Bowl. So we won't have our traditional RPO podcast, but definitely check us out each day next week to see how we're gonna be giving you the details and news about how practice went and all the good stuff right there. We're gonna have some guest speakers down there as well. So definitely looking forward to it, guys. Make sure you stay locked into Inside the Hashes on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. Before we go, Rain, Lamarcus, any closing words on the Senior Bowl? Yeah.
See you guys in Mobile.
Yeah,
Sir.
sounds like fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's going to do it for us today, guys. This is the RPO College Football Podcast. Once again, we thank you guys so much. Yes, this is the College Football Podcast where we do all draft stuff on the off season. So me and Ray will be on here. We're going to have Lamarcus coming on, a couple of cameos. We're going to have a couple of other cameos from other people coming onto our podcast. So we appreciate that. Again, make sure you stay locked in with us. Again, next week we won't have a podcast, our RPO podcast on Wednesday, but we will have our Senior Bowl special. So make sure you go check that out. But we are on every Wednesday, so make sure you check us out around 7 o'clock Eastern time. If you can't get on our live chat room, because we are live, we like to have our live chat room. But if you can't get on our live chat room, you can leave a comment on our YouTube channel on Inside the Hashes on YouTube, and we will get to every comment. We comment on every comment that we got on YouTube, so stay locked on there. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for us, and support us, man. Support us. So once again, I'm Jerome Jones. That's Ray Roberts. That's Lamarcus. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week at their Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Peace out. Have a good one.